So in a few hours' time, I'm gonna go get my COVID-19 vaccine. So that's gonna happen in a few hours. So today's workout is gonna have to be something, a fraction of what it usually would be or could be. So today I just basically came in here. As you guys are seeing, I'm trying the leg raises. I thought it was a good idea to do it today since I'm gonna have a shorter session and whatnot. So I did 5 sets of 10 of these, really concentrating on that posterior pelvic tilt. I didn't want to do the usual protocol where I do sit-ups, and I was actually thinking about doing some side planks today as well. I didn't want to put in that much volume today at all, given the fact that, well, I'm going to have a vaccine going to me today, and potentially my immune system is going to, flare up a little bit, as it should be, to kind of get prepared for a real potential attack by COVID-19. So, this is what vaccines are supposed to do. So I potentially have, a crappy 24 hours coming up. See, everyone's different, but, the things I've heard, some people are, quite sore, full body aches. Some people have temperatures and whatever. So, I don't want to be really, really stupid and put in a massive workout and then get the vaccine and then having the body to recover from the workout and also dealing with the vaccine. So that's where I'm at. Basically, for some of you guys that have been kind of following day to day, it's basically, I made a video a few weeks ago, titled Dark Times. Basically, these dark times are continuing. It seems to be in the last month and a half, I've had, a lot of difficulties putting in proper sessions in. There's so many interruptions. There's so many things happening that are kind of putting me back. I had, a very busy roster with nights, and then I got sick for 2 weeks, and now this vaccine, it seems like I just can't shake away, these distractions. But it is what it is. That's life, and this is, what we have to deal with. So hopefully it all kind of turns out all right in the next 24 hours, and I can put in a solid session tomorrow. If not, then tomorrow is going to be another one of these sessions. But this is what I always talk about, you have to train every day. You have to train every day to make up for some of these, irregularities, if you want, these kind of the volatile nature of life. It's up and down all the time. When you train every single day, you can kind of go with the ebbs and flows, of this sort of stuff. Whereas if you train once or twice or 3 times a week, if it happens to be that on the day when you're supposed to train, something like this happens, then you have a crappy sessions, and tomorrow you're not training at all. So it just becomes, really, really crappy. At least this way you can kind of get your work in through frequency and not worry about massive volumes every single day that you come in to train. The body doesn't really like shock. In the medical term, shock is basically, I guess you could define it as something that's overwhelming the body's coping mechanisms for that given time. So if you have massive amount of stimulus or I guess in the training world, massive amounts of workload, then it's really hard for the body to kind of to recover. If everything is held control, if there's all these like variables are held in control, and you can kind of get your routine in, and you can get your sleep, recovery, diet, all that stuff in, then you can kind of rely on some of these heavy sessions. But for somebody like me, that my life's always kind of up and down. I'm a shift worker. Got small kids, they're always getting sick and whatever, so I'm kind of always up and down. It's never a little, straight baseline. It's always a wandering baseline, if you will. So this is why I prefer. I'm always kind of harping on about why I prefer, everyday training. It's for this very reason. I can still get a session in. For some of you guys, this is like, oh, this is nothing. Well, that's right. There's a lot more capacity for more work, but you always have to match up the workload that you're planning to do and the recovery that you're going to have. So when I was thinking about today's workout, I'm like, okay, so what's the body going to be able to recover from? That's essentially what you got to think about. If I was to do a pig squat today and then go in and have a vaccine, like, you tell me if that's something clever. It's far from it. We need to start treating our body as an ally and not as an enemy. We're in this together. The body sends you signals all the time, whatever. Some of these signals can be a little bit silly, but a lot of the signals are good, right? The silly signals that I talk about is kind of the fogginess that people get after sitting 9 to 5 in an office, right? The fogginess. Oh, I'm so tired, I want to go home, have dinner and then go to sleep. It's like, man, you've done nothing, man. You haven't been in a trench digging freaking dirt all day. You've just been sitting at a computer staring at a screen. you cannot be physically tired. It's mental fatigue. So that's the kind of stuff that I talk about when I talk about silly kind of symptoms, silly kind of messages from the body. But you learn that over time. You learn that over time all the time. And this is this is part of the thing that I always talk about, auto-regulation. I guess it comes with age. It comes with lifting experience. Working out what's what. I just know, like, I've been sick many times, right? So I know how this goes. I know what the body needs. And if you pay attention to some of these early signals, you might even catch the thing before it gets you. So I know, when I was younger, man, I used to think to myself, I just want to run through brick walls all day, every day. I want to be the best. I want to push the biggest weight, all that stuff. But, you get tripped up once, twice, three times. You hit your head on the wall and it doesn't crack. And you're like, oh, well, I got to learn from this. And kind of that's what I've done. I know a lot of this stuff, on the fitness community, on online, everyone talks about being tough and rough and whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to think things through. Our species didn't get to this point being, bros in the jungle. Like the fittest survive. That doesn't mean like the dumbest survive. You need to work out what sort of recovery you have to work with, and then you work out what sort of workload and stimulus you want to give your body. And it's always evolving, always. So on a day like today, what am I supposed to do, right? I still think there's value in getting up and getting some circulation in, practicing my craft. In today's instance, I worked some leg raises, which is kind of a new movement to me. Very small volume, just working with the form, feeling the movement out. I think there's value. People all the time argue with me that there's no value in that. You might as well lay in bed. I guess there's many paths to the same goal, and there's many different styles of life. I always talk about this. There's so many different forms of life. People live all sorts of lives. You need to assess what you have on your plate, and you need to work out a plan how to go about it. All right, guys. Hopefully tomorrow I'm going to be okay and put in a better session. But I guess I'll keep you posted. Let's see how it goes. All right, guys. Peace out.